Joseph Campbell wrote this book called The Hero with a Thousand Faces. The book about heroines would be The Heroine with a Million Faces. One way to kind of differentiate the heroine's journey is based on the genre of the storytelling. In the family drama that we're watching now, there's an outer goal of will Olive become Little Miss Sunshine? But what we find in these kind of family dramas often, another wonderful movie called An Education is like this, it's a coming-of-age film, is that there's a goal that's set up, but then once the goal is set up, in a sense, it becomes like a container for the family story. And the goal then is often in the subtext of the family dynamics that we're watching. So that's kind of how family drama and heroines' journeys are set up. But if you're working like in action adventure or you're working in thriller, then that goal is more present in the text than it is in family drama. So if you think about Silence of the Lambs, for example. So in Silence of the Lambs, Clara Starling's goal is to capture Buffalo Bill. And so virtually every scene that goal is kind of present. But what happens when there's a concrete outer goal, like in thrillers or action heroines' journeys, is that once this goal is established, it's established with a question. And we don't get the answer to that until we get to the climax. So in the beginning, you raise a question, it gets answered in the climax. Until this question is answered, it creates suspense. So in Little Miss Sunshine, it's all about getting to the contest on time and will she win, but almost all of that stays in the subtext. There's not a lot, but the whole idea is that throughout the course of the heroine's journey, you need to remind the audience occasionally what's at risk in terms of the outer stakes. And if you're working in the thriller genre, like Silence of the Lambs is a crime thriller, then what we need to have happen is that if you have a scene or sequence that relates to the outer goal of being able to apprehend Buffalo Bill before he kills the governor's daughter, that you need to have connective scenes. They're like interstitial scenes that are going to bring the emotional through line into the story. And the way they do that in Silence of the Lambs is the relationship between Clarice Starling and Hannibal Lecter. So when we're looking at these heroines' journeys, that what you want to be looking at is what is the primary relationship in your main characters? What's your main character's primary relationship? Because the archetypal theme is going to come through that primary relationship. And the way that you look at a film like Silence of the Lambs is that Silence of the Lambs is a father-daughter story. Hannibal Lecter is the surrogate father for Clara Starling. So that's why relationships are so important in these stories.